Well, delighted to be joined for a hurling chat by John Mullane. John, a quiet enough weekend in some respects, but still plenty to talk about. But I know off on the top of the show, it's very fresh on our minds, obviously. St. Patrick's Day in Croke Park, the Croke Cup, and it didn't half give us a bit of drama. Thurles CBS rising from the dead.
Oh, Verney, what a game. I've been getting them watch the parade and went for a bite to eat after, and I came home and I specifically had the game tape because I knew this was going to be kind of a humdinger of a match, two kind of, even enough match sides, and boy, they didn't disappoint. And what an advert for colleges hurling, and even having it on in Croke Park and all the students there, shouting on their fellow students, and as a contest, it just didn't disappoint. When you had the football on before it, and I think possibly the GA have probably landed on something here now. With the club games going away from the Patrick's Day fixture. I mean, they have to have something on Patrick's Day, and I think they've landed on something really, really good here. And I think even going forward for the next couple of years, if this is going to become a regular fixture on St. Patrick's Day, I think, let's go and promote it a bit more. Let's try and get more people inside the stadium, because the array of talent on display yesterday was just incredible. I mean, I go through some of the names. I mean, you had young Lean for presentation. Aaron Nyland came on, got 1-2. Burke for presentation got 1-1. Jason Rabbit, son of Joe, this lad. Now he was naturally disappointed in the aftermath of it, and you could see by his body language, he was a bit unlucky giving away the free. But I thought he was immense. The pass that he gave off for one of the scores was Joe Canning-esque. And this lad Rabbit, he could develop into a big player for Galway going forward. Similar enough, Nyland as well. And then for Thurles, Fitzpatrick was hitting the freeze, got 10 points, 2 from play, eight place balls. Minogue got four points. Robbie Ryan, the captain, got an inspirational score when they needed. I think they were possibly 5-6 points down. Gave a fantastic speech in the aftermath of the match. Evan Murray got 2 points, and the lad midfield got man of the match. Keith Rossler got 4 points. Or Kieran Rossler, sorry, it's Keith there from Wexford. Kieran Rossler got 4 points, got man of the match. He was immense. He was like a Duracell battery, up and down the pitch. But geez, an incredible game, and the celebrations in the aftermath of it, and even how both managers spoke, before the match and after. It was just it was a really enjoyable game, and great credit Verney has to go to TG4. I mean, we don't know how lucky we are.
Well, we'd be lost. We'd be lost.
Like we would. Let's call it spade a spade. We would be lost without TG4. They just put on an incredible show, and even the breakdown of it. Look, Mike Wade wouldn't be great, but even even the people that they have on, and former players, and the commentary. It's just a fantastic package, and great credit to them that they give the colleges hurling a bit of exposure. And I think it's something we see it with the Fitzgibbon and the Sigerson Cup. I think this is most certainly. I think they've landed on something there. When if no other high end fixture goes back to Patrick's Day, I think this is definitely something that can grow going into the future. And I think even people can be always looking for something to do on Patrick's Day. I mean, if you're not into going to parades, or if you're not into going to pubs or whatever,
basically, Mull, yeah. If you're not into drinking, you need to have something else to do.
Yeah, but look, and you're looking for something to do, and Jesus, we've seen that with the club all Ireland fixtures over the years. I mean, And even make it kind of affordable and give out free tickets, or make it a fiver a ticket, or a tenner a ticket, or do some sort of a package, because you're not going just watching a college's final. You're going watching some of the stars of the future, some of the names that I just mentioned.
You'll
There's
be the
one
same
lad.
as me, Muldo, as well. Isn't it great? You watch this game and you're like, it's in the back of your head, some fella that you thought, geez, this lad in 4 or 5 years now. And you see the panels coming out in the next couple of years, senior panels, and you're wondering maybe, where is this lad? And then you see him getting a run and you're like, geez, I saw him 4 or 5 years ago. Do you know what I mean? It's you love seeing the conveyor belt and thinking, oh, that lad has something about him that could come through and make it at senior level or whatever. And then when they do, they don't all come through, obviously. But it's kind of even nice to know, geez, I saw something in him maybe that he could become whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and even there was one lad um, played wing back, Ryan Bargery, was extremely impressed by him for Thurles CBS. Um, but yeah, I mean, going back, young Nyland, he got the free just before to bring it back. And he was brave to take on the shot just before half time. I think they were 3 or 4 points down at that stage. Now Thurles CBS were well on top, and he had the bravery to go for it. Now he was possibly lucky to uh, to raise the green flag, but then there's probably 5 minutes left on the clock. They're 2 points up. He's saying to himself, right, well, I'm saying to myself, put the ball over the bar, put the free over the bar, because I didn't know what the score was. And put the free over the bar, and that pushes it out to three. He decides to go for something similar that he went on just before half time. Uh, they don't get anything, but they don't get anything in return for it. And I think Thurles go up and get the next score, and they cut the deficit to 1 point. So even that, I'm not going to mention that word, but you say the learnings. Even at that, that's experience, or he'll learn from that going forward into the future. Kind of those decisions at crucial stages of a game, particularly. And for a lot of these players, they never played in Croke Park before, so yeah, I just thought it was just a really enjoyable match to sit down and watch, and a real high standard game. And I think it's something going forward that I think we can grow. And I think it was the first time St. Kieran's didn't play in the final since 2013. So yeah, I think I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it's definitely something going forward into the future that we can probably grow and look to give more exposure to.
You mentioned TG Carter there, Mull. I can definitely see it someday in the near future. Mullane TG Carter. It's Bralo muck out there. But just on that, like a quick word for Thurles CBS. I actually, in a former life, I was a PE teacher in a former life. I actually did my teaching practice in Thurles CBS, and Niall Cattle, the Thurles CBS manager, was one of my guides, shall we say, guiding us through the 6 weeks. Lovely college, lovely place, lovely fella, and delighted for them, obviously. Great result, especially rising back from the dead to win it. I think it's their first since 2009. The other major action of the weekend, Mull, was Limerick and Kilkenny, and it was almost like a Martin Luther King-esque quote I saw appearing somewhere online. It was, there's 3 teams you never write off: Real Madrid, the All Blacks, and the Kilkenny senior hurling team. John Mullane, 15th to the 3rd, 2025. You can't write off Kilkenny. It's hard to know exactly what to read into this game, but it was a reaction that was needed from Kilkenny, realistically, and important to get a win in Nolan Park, because they would have went 0 for 3 in Nolan Park throughout the league had they not got a result.
Yeah, and I think you can throw in the German national football team along those lines as well. But yeah, you could see even I was actually covering it on radio duties, and you could even see in the warm up that they were going to really bring it, and they did. They, from the moment Colin Lyons threw in the ball, they were ravenous, they were hungry, they were I think probably playing with a small bit of hurt, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Considering the personnel that, they were down. I mean, a lot of people were kind of, remarking the personnel that Limerick were down. But, I mean, look at the personnel Kilkenny were down. I mean, they were down Blanchfield, they were down Barry, they were down Mullane, they were down Cody. And, yeah, from the get go, they were just mad for work. They were ravenous in the tackle, and some of the scores that they that they took within that game was just remarkable. Some of the scores. I mean, TJ was brilliant from place balls. Mossy Keown got 7 points from play. Billy Ryan got 2 points. The battle between Keane Kenny and Keane Lynch was a great battle. It's great to see John Donnelly back as well. John Donnelly picked off 2 great scores, and I suppose the Kerry man Fionn Mackesy, he was very, very good. Even wing forward, he's probably another outlet. If they want to go long, he picked off two scores from play. Got a monster point from a free in the first half. And yeah, they were just back to being Kilkenny, and I couldn't for the life of me understand Verney how people were just quick to write him off so quickly. And I mean, at the end of the day, when these boys have their full select of players, I mean, we go through our team, I mean, we were even discussing it in the group with myself and Eddie. I mean, let's go through their forward line, for instance, right? When they have everyone back, the potential 6 forwards could be John Donnelly, Billy Ryan, John Donnelly, Adrian Mullane, and then you could have an inside line then of Mossy Keown, TJ Reid, and Owen Cody. I mean, there's 6 forwards, Michael, that are as good as what's around. And if they get the 6 of those lined out in those positions, they are going to cause damage to whatever opponent they're going to come up against. And I thought the placement of TJ in around the edge of the square, I mean, you could even see the mix of them going short, going long, playing it through the lines, playing those little triangle passes. And then when they were under pressure, then Richie Reid, right, just go direct into TJ and Mossy Keown, and they caused havoc in there to both Mike Casey and Sean Finn. And I don't know, whatever Mossy Keown is taking, but he's just playing out of his skin. I mean,
he's been the player of the league, Mull, hasn't he, by a mile?
Yeah. Oh well, when you break down the scores, well, I mean, what's he after registering? Within those last 6 games, just being Mr. Consistent. And I suppose then, look, you go back to it then, having Hugh Lauder back in at number 3 then. They're just a different outfit when Hugh Lauder is at number 3.
I honestly think he's nearly their most influential or important player at this stage, because he just shores up everything, and you've got such a safe pair of hands at the edge of the square, and he matches up well with any dangerous forward, any of the best forwards. He matches up well with him, particularly athletically.
Well, look, that was evident the weekend. I mean, when he was marking Shane O'Brien, and there was certain stages of the games with the camera wouldn't have picked it up, and there was probably 30 yards of green grass in front of Shane O'Brien and Hugh Lauder, and he's so comfortable in that position where if there's green grass out the field and it's just a one-on-one, he backs himself every day, and there's still that element of security back there, that right, we can push out the field knowing that Hugh Lauder or Mikey Butler are back there, and that albeit there might be 30 or 40 yards of green grass in behind the Kilkenny half-back, and if the Kilkenny half-back line push out and follow the whatever opposing half-forward line, it's a nice backup to know that you have 2 great touch-tight defenders in both Hugh Lauder and Mikey Butler.
The one thing I would say about Kilkenny, though, Mull, when they bring that kind of typical no-nonsense, hard work all over the pitch, they're very, very hard to deal with. But I would say it's less consistent than it had been, in the previous decade, shall we say. There's been off days thrown in maybe that you wouldn't have maybe associated with the Cody era or whatever. When they're on it, they're a match for anybody, but they can't let it drop, if you get me. Do you know what I mean? And that would be the one worry. If they bring it on a given day, there'll be a match for anyone. It could potentially beat anybody. But it's the consistency thing that probably is a little lacking.
I agree. I totally agree with you. But where I'm coming from is like where they seem to, as I touched on in the group as well, where they seem to sting most is when they're totally written off. I mean, and they seem to kind of get encouraged, or they kind of seem to get a bit of a kick out of it that way. People are just totally writing them off and saying, right, these boys, they don't have any hope this year. That's when they can really hurt you and they can really come with the sting. And we've seen it time and time again. You'd want to be a fool to write these lads off. You'd want to be a fool to write these lads off. And look, going off the evidence of what we've seen today, still going to be the team to beat in the Leinster Championship, and they're going to be extremely difficult to beat. If they have their full hands to play with, they're going to be very, very difficult. If they win another Leinster Championship again, they're back in an All-Ireland semi-final, and we go back to that game last year, Verney, between Clare and Kilkenny. They should have been out of sight at half time. They should have been 12, 13, 14 points up at half-time, and the game would have been done and dusted, and Clare wouldn't have been All-Ireland champions. But again, as you just touched on, that inconsistency, they probably switched off for that kind of third quarter, that third quarter against Clare last year. And even, again, last Sunday, kind of Limerick kind of got their purple patch. They got their purple patch last Saturday. In that match, and that's probably something that you wouldn't have associated with Kilkenny under Cody, where if, again, as you touched on before, if they're 10 points up, if they're 9 points up, if they're 8 points up, they look to go 12, 13, 14, 15. They don't let up at all, and that's probably something that you can throw at this Kilkenny team, that there's probably certain periods of the match where they can there's a tendency to switch off.
Can I ask you one? I actually spoke with Dick about this a couple of weeks ago on the football. When you played against that great Kilkenny team, and obviously you played on a great team yourself, were there any measures in place when things were going wrong, or when a team had got a run on you? Was there any particular, even any teams you played on down through the years, was there a little switch where you were like, okay, we need to do this to stop momentum, or we need to do X or Y? Or did you ever have anything like that, or did you notice anything even playing against Kilkenny? They were devils for keeping the foot on the floor. They go straight. If they had it in fifth gear, they'd put it into sixth, and they would drive it to the ground, and they would bury it if they could. But did you have any mechanisms in place to, stop that? Or even during games when things weren't going well, what would you do?
Yeah, well, look, the usual ones, I suppose, lads would go down injured, or certain personnel would be picked to kind of go down when holding their calf or holding their hamstring, or if one or two lads had contact lenses, the old Nicky Quaid one, the contact lenses would go missing, and you try and buy yourself a couple of minutes, or kill the momentum of the opposing team. But I mean, they were just the masters of doing it, and particularly in that period after half time where they would just go and just kill you, where you might have a little bit of hope going in at half time, where you could be 4 or 5 points down, but you're just hanging in there. They would come out and they'd hit you probably for a goal or two, and all of a sudden then there's a you'd be looking around the field, and some heads start to drop, and when they kind of notice that certain heads are starting to drop, those are the type of personnel they then go after, and they'll just murder you then,
Like a shark sensing blood. And boys, when they sense blood, they would absolutely go to town on you. Mull, this is the second year in a row Kilkenny have dished out a fairly comprehensive defeat to Limerick in the league. It was a league semi-final last year, obviously a group game this year. Do you place much stock in that? Or, I don't know, personally, I think it probably suits Limerick to not qualify for a final and be all gung-ho for that first round in Munster, where they were potentially going to be playing Tipperary in the league final and potentially then going to be playing them again in the first round of Munster. and they obviously were missing plenty of personnel at the weekend. Would you read much into it?
I wouldn't know. Look, I'd always go off of, you'd be always kind of focusing in on John Kiley's interviews in the after of the match, and he seems happy enough of where Limerick are right now. He seems happy enough that they'll have a good run in for the next 5 weeks into that Tipperary game. Obviously, they've one more match next weekend against Wexford, but I think probably what we're seeing in this league, Michael, is that the third week, teams out 3 weeks in a row. We've probably seen it a bit of a bit with Clare the previous week against Cork, where they had the quick turnaround and they were coming up against nearly a fresh Cork team who weren't out 3 weeks in a row. So I think we're seeing that these lads, albeit it's only the league, some of them are still only human, and any players that are playing 3 weeks in a row, there's probably a small bit of tiredness kicking in, and you could probably see elements of that within some of those Limerick players that last weekend, that as Kiley touched on, that there was a small bit lethargic, in going to a couple of balls, and they just weren't at the pitch of it from the moment the ball was thrown in. And but what would you be concerned? No, you wouldn't. I mean, you look again. You look at the personnel that they were down, but I think the big one for Limerick, and I think the key one for Limerick, is Kyle Hayes. I mean, you're seeing firsthand when he's in the team, how strong they are, and how potent they are in going about their business. And I mean, you take him out of that half back line, it gives the opposition, it gives the opposing teams a bit of hope that they can go and they can get a bit of joy. But again, look, some of the players of the weekend, Connor got 2 points. Tom Morrissey was slowly getting back to himself. But yeah, look, I think probably the one big plus for Limerick right now is probably the performances of Shane Dowling.
I was just going to say it to you, Mull. Yeah, some of the saves,
some of the save he pulled off from Billy Ryan in particular was an incredible save. But yeah, look, I don't think they're going to be overly concerned. Would they like to be pushing on and being involved in the league or getting to a league final? I think this Limerick team, their currency now is possibly not winning league titles, is pushing on and trying to win probably a 7th Munster title in a row and trying to recapture Liam McCarthy. And I think that's what will be in the planning and the thinking, and going forward for the next couple of weeks. And trying to win that first round in the Munster Championship, that's so key right now. And that will be the main focus going forward. And they can sit back now, they can have a look at the league final and pinpoint areas where they can go and hurt Tipperary and get a bit of joy. But it's I think from John Kiley's point of view, I think he'll be looking to try and get a clean bit of health going forward for the next couple of weeks. And anyone who has any niggling injuries, it's a great opportunity now to get everyone back to full health and have a full deck to pick from for that Tipperary game.
Can I just ask you, Mull, a good few of the Limerick lads have said, likes of Burns, Lynch, Will O'Donoghue even, and a few more, they've been around the scene, like the county scene, probably 10 years or so. And I'm just thinking about your own career. How did your approach to the league, or the approach which managers took to the league with you, change from, let's say, the start of your career to the end of your career? I'd imagine, I'm just thinking, like when lads are young, they try and play every game and managers are trying to expose them to every game. But that changes over time and you're thinking, what's the priority here? The priority here is that you're hopping for the first round of Munster. How did your approach, or the approach which you changed throughout your career to the league?
Yeah, well, look, you're 100% correct. I suppose, look, when you break onto the scene and you're only that kind of 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old, and you're trying to, put your hand up for selection, I suppose you're trying to go out and you're trying to perform to try and, get minutes on the pitch, whether it be come on as a sub or get a start. So you're kind of going gun ho probably for the first year or two, 3 years to kind of try and make an impression. And then I suppose, look, when you have the trust in the management, and you have a couple of seasons behind you, then knowing that, right, I'm I won't say I'm as good at the starter, or I'm at to put myself, in the window now that I'm gonna, I'm in a good position to be selected for come the Munster Championship. You can kind of have a small bit of a tendency to kind of, I wouldn't say kind of roll back. Uh, no, sorry. I suppose the first 2 or 3 years you're going, oh, you're trying to make a name for yourself. You're trying to, impress the manager. And then if you win a league title, then I suppose, look, we never won a league title, but I suppose in 2004 we got to the league final and we got beaten by Galway. So then you're kind of chasing that kind of medal that you don't have. So once you kind of tick that box, then, and you're kind of coming to the years where you're hitting 28, 29, 30, you kind of approach it a small bit different. Like, even from my end of it, there would have been times where if you knew you weren't out, if you knew you had no hope of winning a league title, and you were kind of, you knew you were secure in that you're going to be playing Division 1A status the following year, the possibly would have been probably one or two matches. I'm only speaking for myself, where if you knew that you were going American, or if you knew that the player that was going American, you're going to be coming up against in possibly 5-6 weeks time, you wouldn't be showing your hand too much, or you wouldn't be going.
You'd be going taking all shots off your right hand side.
Yeah, well, no, you wouldn't be going 100 miles an hour or 90 miles an hour. And I think was it Larry Corbett said, like, even stages of the league, it's the conditions are kind of are set for a defender. But once April comes and the ground starts to harden up, it's more favouring the forward. So there would have been times I would have said to myself, right, I'm American. This lad I'm going to be coming up against in 5-6 weeks time. I'm not going. I might go for 2 or 3 balls and I might get a score or two, and then I might say, right, I'm not going to go fully out, or I'm going to show my hand. I always hold something in reserve for the championship. Now, look, that could be totally different in the thinking of some of these players nowadays. But
hey, come here, Mull, just on that. Do you remember when Azaki went to town on Tipperary in 2010 in the Munster Championship? I don't know. They got 3 goals the same day, but he actually marked Paddy Maher in the league, but he only marked him for about 5 minutes, and the ball came in and he got a goal, and they were like, okay, get Azaki away from Pádraig Maher so that he can't get used to him or like that. And then it came to Munster and he didn't have that contact time with him, and he did serious damage again, which subsequently Cork people won't like to say, but like it subsequently helped Tipperary win the All-Ireland, because Pádraig Maher went out wing back and they basically changed their team completely. But it's funny, you want to show a bit, but you don't want to show too much. You want to have a few tricks up your sleeve, don't you?
Oh, 100%. And look, well, back when I was playing, it kind of wasn't, the breakdown of the matches. I mean, look at the video analysis now. Every player now is studying every player to a T, and it's, Jesus, nearly on your phone now. Can only imagine. So, if you were marking me, or if Jackie Carroll was marking me, or if Ollie Cannon was marking me, nowadays, they know every turn. They know what way you step to the side, or what hand you hit off, or if you're going out attacking the ball. It's everything is playing in the favor of a defender. Now. So to flip that from a forward's point of view, you're not going to show your hand too much, knowing that these lads are studying every move that you make. And I suppose coming to the latter end of it, then what Davey would have done with the likes of myself and a couple of the elder statesmen is that he would have held us off for, I think, the first 3 or 4 games, and I think he would have brought us back for the latter end of it. I think the last 2 or 3 games, knowing that we'd be working off our own programs, but knowing that we'd with a considerable amount of miles on the clock, and that he wanted to hold us more for the summer rather than the league. So we'd only come in probably for, maybe the tail end of the league, like, So the contrast of starting off, from scratch, trying to make a name for yourself, and then that kind of middle block then of, you're 25, 26, 27, where you've 5, 6 years under your belt, and then coming to the latter end of your career, you're trying to hold back and trying to hold your energy in reserve for the bigger games come the summer. And I mean, back then it was knockout hurling, but I mean, now you've got to take into account that it's a league, it's another league, and then if you get over that league, then in the Munster campaign or Leinster campaign, you're going into the All Ireland series. So there's a bit of planning in that,
Just the last one, just on this weekend. There's lots of fixtures this weekend. The most meaningful one, obviously, is Cork and Galway. And just what you mentioned there about not showing your hand too much, it's basically a de facto league semi-final for the two of them. But they can also kind of really go at it hard, knowing that they're not going to be playing each other again, potentially maybe till a knockout stage or something like that. They're not going to be meeting in a couple of weeks. How do you see this going? And where's the motivate? Who is more motivated, should we say, to get to a league final?
Yeah, again, I suppose both teams, when you break it down, would Limerick have liked to get into a league final? I don't think they would have been, it wouldn't have been the end of the world for not to be in a league final. I think winning a league title would serve this Cork team really, really good. I mean, they haven't won a national title since 2005 was the last time they won a national title, but they haven't won a national league title since 1998. And I think the last couple of league finals that Cork have played in, they've come up short against Waterford in the last two that come to mind. And I think Cork have kind of the person or the depth in their panel to go and chase a league title. Micheál Donoghue, on the other hand, well, if you told them at the start of the league campaign, or if you told them after the Tipperary defeat the first day out that they'd hold on to their Division 1A status, I think he would have taken the arm and the leg off you. So would it be a bonus for Galway to get to a league final and have another crack off a tip? Absolutely. And I think he'll learn an awful lot more, the weekend about his panel. And I suppose what he'll be anxious to get out of the weekend is that he'll get a good performance off the back of underperforming the last day against Limerick. And probably right now the two best teams in the country are probably Limerick and Cork. So it's a great test for Micheál Donoghue and the players to go down the weekend, engage where they are at right now and find out an awful lot more about some of these players that he's after blood in the last couple of weeks, and knowing then that they're 5 weeks away from playing Kilkenny, and albeit the Leinster Championship, it will be testing. It's not compared to what Cork face into in the Munster Championship. But if you were to ask me another result, I just think Cork are on the crest of a wave right now. They were over in Portugal last week for, I think it was a 5-day camp. So I just think Cork are in a really, really good place right now. And you're probably looking at another between 20 and 25,000 the weekend. And if they get on top at all, they have that massive home following to roar them on. So I think Cork, winning the league title wouldn't do this Cork team any harm, and I would expect them to win the weekend, Michael.
Mull, we'll save our training camp stories for the next time you're on, okay? Yeah. There's a few of them. I can tell there's a few of them. But I know there's a good one about the bull feeling, but we'll save it for the next time you're on. My thanks to John Mullane for joining us this week, and we'll be back again next Tuesday to review all the football and hurling action, and we'll chat to you then.